Good morning, fellow graduates, and to the families and friends who have helped us all reach this milestone in our lives. My name is Louis Chavone, and as President Lowe said, I served on this year's Senior Council. It is a huge honor to introduce today's commencement speaker, Mr. Domonique Foxworth. We are thrilled to have Mr. Foxworth return to his alma mater and to share some thoughts with us as we enter the next chapter of our lives. Mr. Foxworth was born in Oxford, England, and moved to Maryland before he began grade school. He attended Western Tech High School in Catonsville, Maryland, so his roots in this area are strong. Mr. Foxworth graduated high school early and enrolled here at the University of Maryland in spring 2001. He graduated in 2004 with a degree in American Studies after an impressive academic and athletic career. Mr. Foxworth started every game for the Terrapins football team between 2001 and 2004, earning all-conference honors 3 times at the cornerback position. Mr. Foxworth translated his success into a 7-year NFL career, and the Ravens fans in the house will remember Mr. Foxworth from his tenure with Baltimore from 2009 to 2011. Off the field, Mr. Foxworth brought and continues to bring so much more to the Maryland community. As an alumnus of the College of Arts and Humanities, Mr. Foxworth and his wife, Ashley, a 2006 alumna, helped spark the Foxworth Creative Enterprise Initiative. The initiative has helped our students and faculty collaborate to develop courses supporting advanced engagement with contemporary issues while addressing justice in all communities. We are very proud that a Terp like Mr. Foxworth has held leadership positions with the NFL and the NBA Players Associations. And we're proud that he has served as a proponent for lifelong learning and continued to use his platform to provide for others, like with his nonprofit, Baltimore Born Incorporated. Mr. Foxworth represents everything a Maryland graduate can aspire to be: dynamic, driven, and fearless. Now, Mr. Foxworth wrote in 2013 for the Huffington Post that he had not yet been invited to speak at a commencement. So Domonique, here's your shot. You know, it's only your alma mater and an audience of 18,000 people, so really no pressure. I'm pleased and honored to welcome Mr. Domonique Foxworth. Thank you.
Thanks so much for the kind words. Let me get situated. I'm pretty nervous, and that didn't help, that introduction. My wife told me not to use electronics, and now I'm in portrait mode. I need landscape. Sorry. Apologies. She told me to go with paper, as Mackenzie did, but I chose not to, and I'm paying for it. She's always right. But anyway. It's the first time I'm seeing myself in this ridiculous hat. That's not going to work, because I expect when my kids, who are 2 and 4 now, get older, I expect to be able to show them this, and I don't want to be looking at myself in that ridiculous hat. But someone, Debbie, who helped me in the back, told me I didn't look ridiculous, so we'll have a talk later. Anyway, I guess I need to get started, and bear with me with these electronics. Again, my wife told me not to, but I don't listen. So, Dr. Lowe, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, administration, friends and family, and of course, the University of Maryland class of 2015. Good morning, and thank you for having me. It's a great honor to be here today. And it's a great challenge, too. It's a little nerve-wracking, as you can see. I'm a little nervous, and to be honest, I'm not completely comfortable. I'd be a lot more comfortable if I was running into Byrd Stadium right now, in front of tens of thousands of fans, screaming, full of Terrapin pride, and probably full of a few other things from the tailgate. But I'd feel like I was at home. It'd be a lot easier for me, but this is different. This is commencement. This is in the Xfinity Center. This is different. It's kind of a big deal to me, so please forgive me. The challenge is that I don't see myself as a usual commencement speaker, and I can't even imagine myself giving a conventional commencement speech. I read a few articles in preparation for this, and many of them said the first thing I should do is establish why I'm worth listening to. And to be honest with you, I don't know that I agree with that. So I won't. when I sat where you sit in the spring of 2004, our commencement speaker was a cabinet secretary. That was about 11 years ago, and that's not me. I'm not a 60-year-old who's had a life well lived and can tell you what to do. I'm not a CEO or a politician. I don't have it all figured out. I'm actually a lot closer to being you guys than being them. It would be great to stand up here in full regalia. Well, not full regalia anymore, sorry about that. It'd be great to stand up here in full regalia and deliver a rousing speech, not just a rousing speech, but a transcendent one. The speech that doesn't only make you want to stand up and applaud, but makes you want to march and makes you want to rethink the trajectory of your life. But let's face facts. I'm sure it was a really good speech, but I don't remember what the cabinet secretary said or what lessons he tried to impart. So while this is an honor I will not forget, I can't imagine or I can't expect that it'll be the same for you guys. And that suits me just fine. Honors are great, but they're dangerous. It's easy to believe the hype. It's easy to accept the accolades as fact. But even if I did, I have friends, family, a wife, and kids who would keep me grounded. Having 2 young children is far more humbling than getting beat on a slant or post pattern. Well, sometimes. Among the graduates today is Tori Pagano. Her dad, Chuck, was my defensive coordinator when I played for the Baltimore Ravens. He's now the head coach of the Colts. Oh, I'll give you a second for the Ravens. I guess I would mention the other local team, but I'm not sure that I feel comfortable saying that name, so the Washington team for the fans that are out there. But again, her dad, Chuck, was my defensive coordinator when I played for the Ravens. He's now the head coach of the Colts, and he would likely say that getting beat on the post in the playoffs for a touchdown is probably a lot more humbling than having kids. But I don't know that. I might disagree. But the point is, I cannot tell you what to do or how to live your lives. If we're being completely honest, I'm up here because at one point I ran really fast and I wasn't afraid to slam my body into people much bigger than me. And to be honest, those aren't really that marketable skills that you guys want to hear about. So what can I offer you today? It's a fair question. And it goes to what I do want to say, to what I can genuinely say, to what I'm qualified to say. I can't offer life lessons. Well, I do have a couple of life lessons that I would like to share with you guys that I know that I can offer. And I'll start with, there's a reason why you're all here, and many of those reasons are people that are in your life. So please take time to say that you love them and thank you at some point today. I know it's been said before, but it can't be said enough. And that goes for me also. So I'd like to take a second to, I found them while I was here. My family, my mom and dad are up there, and I really do appreciate and love everything that you guys have done for me. And me being up here is obviously a testament to the job that you have done. And I'm really grateful. And my wife, who's always incredibly supportive, she's really the smart one in the family. She's 2 education degrees. Her undergrad degree was from here also, and she's also a lawyer with a JD. And the sacrifices that she's made career-wise and staying home with the kids to allow me to have the successes that allow me to stand up here go without saying. And by me saying the smart one, I'm not just trying to win points. Like, she actually is the smartest person that I've ever met. And the most beautiful, obviously. And again, it's not just me trying to gain points. When I was here, I remember the very first time that I met my wife, or I didn't actually meet her, I just saw her. We were in the South Campus dining hall. I was with my teammate and one of my closest friends, Steve Suter at the time, and he'll tell you, oh, it's got some Suter fans. I like that. he'll be happy to hear this. I'm going to cut just this piece of the speech out and send it to him. He'll appreciate it. But I do remember saying to him at the time that I would trade an aunt and 2 cousins for her. And he thought it was funny. He never forgot it. Fortunately, I didn't have to trade any family members. Well, I don't know. I would have liked to trade some family members, but I still got my wife, and I got her beautiful family also, who are here to support me. They're all just great parts of my life, and I really do appreciate it. And Ashley, my wife, I love you so much, and thank you for helping me prepare for this, helping me write this, helping me practice till 2 a.m. last night. Thank you so much for everything. The second lesson that I do want to share before I get to my message, and this comes from me, who's now Chief Operating Officer with the NBA Players Association, so I'm doing a lot of interviewing and looking at a lot of resumes and hiring a lot of people. And my advice to you, which I'm sure you already know, is make sure that your email address and whatever your social media avatar is very bland. You'd be surprised at the stuff that I've seen. So Buff Stud 2015 doesn't work with that comes with a picture of you and your shined up abs. I've received these things, and I'm not sure what job they thought they were applying for, but I wasn't hiring for that. And that goes for Lex with 3 X's, 69. I think that you should never have, I don't care how your name is spelled, there's a limit to only 2 X's in your email address. And unless you were born in 1969, please keep 69 out of your email address. Just one way to think about it is if your name you think would help people potentially swipe right on you, that's probably not a name that you want to send to employers, because those employers will most certainly swipe left. I'm going to get in trouble later. My wife's going to ask me why I know so much about Tinder. I have friends, not many, but I have friends who aren't married, and do exist on Tinder, so please forgive me. Again, I shouldn't have used this prompter because I'm way off, but again, my wife is always right. While I can't offer you many more life lessons, I can tell you how I've tried to live my life. I can offer what, through a lot of trial and even more error, has worked for me. I can share the things that I'm constantly working on, always trying to improve. From that, maybe you can find something interesting, something inspiring. There may even be a lesson or two in there. In my life, there were always challenges far greater than anything I faced on the football field. And that's what I want to talk about here today. Overcoming others' preconceived notions, and relatedly, avoiding my own instinct to prejudge, and instead being sure to appreciate the dignity in us all and to value others and their perspectives. From the very first day I stepped foot on this campus to this moment right now, I feel I've been working to overcome notions that others have me and earn their respect. Early in high school, I attended a summer football camp here. When I began, no one expected much of me. I was small for my position, and to be honest, I was small for any position, and I came from a small school that no one had ever heard of. But I worked my butt off, and by the time camp was over, I was offered a scholarship. I graduated from high school early and arrived here at the University of Maryland in College Park in the spring of 2001, which should have been the last semester of my high school career. I was taking classes and practicing with the football team, and to be honest, I was doing very poorly at both. Even though I'd proven myself on the field enough to land a scholarship, me just being here was a surprise to many. Before high school, I remember my parents put together enough money to send me to Art Monk's football camp for a week. At the end of that week, the camp staff gave all of the players and all the campers a report card. Lots of kids got report cards that said that they would go on to have great college careers, and some even said that they had NFL potential. Mine said some nice things, but concluded with, less exciting, he'll be a fine high school football player. That proved to be true. I also did okay in class in high school. Yet, I still recall a teacher whom I respected being upset that I got a scholarship to Maryland, as she didn't think I deserved it or that I'd thrive academically. And if the opinions of the Art Monk camp staff or that teacher were all someone knew of me or believed of me, my first few weeks as a Terrapin would have confirmed it. But I wasn't only judged by those early impressions. Many people at the university, from coaches to classmates to professors, supported me and gave me a chance to prove that I could thrive as a student and as an athlete here. That support made possible what came next, a career in the NFL. Drafted by the Broncos, traded to the Falcons, signed, somebody from Denver, I love that city. I heard one woo. Signed as a free agent to a 4-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens. It was a dream come true. I could see it, playing for my hometown team late in the fourth quarter. We're holding on to a slim lead. Time's running out. The game is on the line, and I intercept the ball. A possibly underinflated ball, but I intercepted it nonetheless. We win the game, and then the Super Bowl. It's a pretty nice story arc, don't you think? It turns out that preconceived notions of a career can be just as wrong as preconceived notions of people. Things don't always go as planned. Sometimes you tear your ACL. That's what happened to me, and I was never the same player. But I was as determined as ever to defy preconceived notions. I went from people assuming I could never make it as a football player to people thinking, though I might have been kind of smart for a jock, that I was still just an athlete. And that's what I found myself having to defy then. I wanted to prove myself as someone who wasn't just a football player, but someone who could offer much more. When I was in elementary school, we had a project where I had to create a self-portrait, and my parents still have it now. My portrait said that I would be in the NFL and a part-time pediatrician. It's true. Unfortunately, I didn't become a pediatrician, but I loved being a football player. But I always thought of myself as more, and luckily, I found more to do. The season I tore up my knee was also the same year my daughter Avery was born. And my wife was finishing law school, so I put all of my energies in being a full-time dad. It was also the year that the players' union, of which I was first the rep, then executive committee, and finally executive committee member, and finally president, started negotiating with the NFL. Talk about preconceived notions. First in the NFL, and now in my role heading the day-to-day operations of the National Basketball Players Association. I've encountered more than a few who ask why athletes making millions need a union at all. I understand where that question comes from. As professional athletes, we're extremely fortunate, but we're not immune to being taken advantage of either. Workers' compensation, rights for gay athletes, protection from corrupt agents and advisors. The issues are still ones of respect and fundamental fairness. Dignity is a right for everyone, and sometimes it has to be fought for. And the power of a union, or any group for that matter, to demand those things comes from the cohesion of its members. That's something I believe, and it drove my work at the NFLPA and now with the NBPA. When injury first kept me off the field, I poured my competitiveness into my duties as a negotiator for the NFLPA. I would stay up late in between baby feedings. I'd study aspects of the collective bargaining agreement. I'd quiz myself on general business terms so I could negotiate with the likes of Robert Kraft, Jerry Jones, and Roger Goodell. During those negotiations, I learned that I enjoyed business, and I learned something else too. Not only did I have to overcome the preconceived notions that others had about me, I had to overcome my instinct to prejudge. I had preconceived notions both about myself, my abilities, and those on the other side of the table. But they didn't reveal truths, only insecurities. I was just as smart as the owners. Before then, I thought of billionaire CEOs as geniuses. Maybe some of them are, but not all, probably not most. For the most part, they've benefited from the same mix of skill and serendipity, of luck and hard work as I have, and as many of you have. I think of my path to this stage. Had my dad not taught me about goal setting and working hard when I was 6 years old, had my mom not sent me to a different high school than my home school, I would not have made it to the University of Maryland. Had I not torn my ACL, I would not have been involved in collective bargaining. Had I not met my wife here at Maryland, I would not have had the confidence to apply to Harvard Business School. Had there not been changes at the top of the NBPA, I would not have become the Chief Operating Officer. Had none of that happened, where would I be? I don't know. I don't know where I'd be, I don't know that I would likely have had the success that makes me a suitable commencement speaker, but I do know who I'd be. I'd be the same person. Just as smart, just as hardworking, just as insightful, and just as handsome. I missed the joke. You guys laughing a little hard in the front row. The same is true of NFL and NBA owners, billionaire CEOs, even that cabinet secretary who spoke at my commencement years ago. They are all beneficiaries of luck and hard work. Yet despite that, and knowing that, we are all still prone to valuing opinions and advice based on the wrong criteria. And I'm guilty too. I don't always fight my urge to prejudge others, or to prematurely and inaccurately assess their value. I don't want to conform to the metrics of conventional society. I'd like to be measured by something more noble than money or fame, and I know that I should not measure others by such superficial things. But hey, it's hard for me not to look up at the scoreboard. But when I do, I try to remind myself that it really doesn't tell you who's winning, or better, it presents a limited, decontextualized glimpse into a brief moment, and it doesn't tell you who's really going to prevail in the end, and it doesn't speak to anything that really matters. How many passes I defended or even intercepted, or how many degrees I may accumulate, or even my title, none of that makes me any more valuable than any other person. Everyone's perspective has value, and sometimes value to you should be measured not by the number of commas in someone's salary, and not even by the number of followers that they have on the latest social media. Sorry, Dr. Lowe. I had that in there before you said what you said, but just, I'm pretty sure we can check afterwards. I have more followers than you. Fortunately, I already got my degree from here, so. When we're not prejudging people and are appreciating the dignity that is inherent in all of us, we can appreciate the value of everyone's opinion and seek to understand why their opinions are what they are. For me, though I believe that everyone inherently has equal value, and I strive, but sometimes struggle to align my actions with that belief, I've found two groups of people's opinion to be most valuable to me: those whose experiences and therefore opinions contrast most with mine, and those whose opinions, as a result of their experiences, are often undervalued or worse, not given the chance to be heard at all. And today, it's more important than ever that we strive for understanding. This was made clear just a few weeks ago in Baltimore. Like for many of you, Baltimore is home. It's where I grew up. As an adult, I have been involved in community efforts in the area near where Freddie Gray was arrested, and as a child, I remember shopping at Mondawmin Mall, where it seemed the riot started. I know these streets. Watching those scenes wasn't just hard for me, it was devastating. But I was also frustrated with people's reactions. Some might see the footage of the rioters and conclude those people are crazy. And some might lambaste the officers who were doing a difficult job, perhaps in the only way they learned how. But many commenters really are basing their opinions on underinformed beliefs, often formed in preconceived notions of people the likes of whom they've never met. Those who believe the rioters are crazy, for example, don't seek to look past what notions one might have about seeing people desperate enough to riot in their own neighborhoods to really try to understand a person's experience. How can that lead to true resolution? We tend to see problems and solutions from our own particular angle. And if people don't agree with us, we react to their opinions by saying that they're irrational and sometimes stupid. But why should any of us believe that our angle will produce the best solution? I'm just one man. How can my experiences and perspectives be adequate? What if instead in search of value, in search of understanding, we all ask, what would make me do that? What confluence of experiences would cause me to think or act in that way? Can I value the perspective even if I couldn't disagree more with the behavior and how they're expressing themselves? What went through the young man's mind as he and his friends burned a cop car, broke windows, and looted? What would my future prospects or life experience have had to have been for me to decide to engage in similar behavior? How would I feel if I was a young officer with a wife and kids at home trying to protect the city I too love? Many of us would have a hard time imagining ourselves taking the risk associated with those positions. But can we understand? Can we see value? Particularly in a world where some people's experiences are devalued and those same people's opinions are, at best, not provided a vehicle to be shared, and at worst, actively muffled. How can we make sure that we are hearing the weak? W.E.B. Du Bois said, "Not by guarding the weak in weakness do we gain strength, but by making weakness free and strong." That quote resonates with me. In our world, so many assign value based on letters after names and accomplishments. Well, today you guys have letters after your name, and no doubt will continue to have great accomplishments. You are strong. You have the ability to change the world. You have power. Will you share your power, although it will mean losing some of it? Will you refuse to let your prejudice prevent you from learning from and valuing those who are different from you? Will you allow yourself to hear the voiceless and listen to them and take action with them just as much as you would with the privileged? Where so many others hear them less, will you hear them more? I never lacked the confidence to speak up, but I've recently gained a higher level of confidence, the confidence to be quiet and invite others to speak up. With value comes respect. Only with empathy can we have equality, and those are all prerequisites if we are to move from apathy to action. If we are to make progress in any aspect of our lives or in society, overcoming any and all preconceived notions, rejecting the urge and pressure to prejudge, respecting and valuing everyone, especially those least like us and least heard. That's the challenge. That's my message. That's the path I try to walk. As an undersized kid from Baltimore, to University of Maryland, to the NFL, to business school, to the NBPA, and to becoming an unlikely but extremely grateful commencement speaker. So, to the University of Maryland community, and especially to the class of 2015, and especially to the class of 2013, I'm sorry, what did I say? 13? It's awful. Thank you, graduates, for what you'll all accomplish with respect and empathy, with understanding that dignity is a basic right, and with valuing others' perspectives and all that you've learned here at this great university. You're not only going into the world, you'll change it. Thank you.